All right. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening, whenever you get a chance to watch this. This is Coach Alan Galang here. I'm a NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and clinical hypnosis mental coach that helps people with overcoming their personal challenges emotionally, whether that's anger, sadness, depression, anxiety, things that would trigger them normally, and that would haunt them for years, for decades even. I've especially become really good over the years at helping people regain control over their lives by first learning to regain control over their emotions, especially during those times of really troubling situations or really troubling past memories that reoccur and usually set them off to feel the worst of themselves and sometimes just completely out of control. A quick reminder, if you're watching this for the first time and you're wondering, okay, what are these live events all about? Before I bring in my co-host and amazing training partner here, Miss Helen Fong, I just want to share that the purpose of these live events is twofold. Number one, it's to share information, how to, experiences, advice, anything that we have on our table, Helen and I, both things that we've learned and things that we've practiced and experienced to help you if you're in that place where you want to be able to improve the way you feel and have better self-control over the way you feel, especially when it comes to those situations that would normally trigger you to get upset, to get angry, to get sad, to get frustrated, and help you gain better knowledge on how to build that self-control mechanism inside of you. Because as the old saying goes, I think I heard this back in 2005, the great Tony Robbins, Anthony Robbins, as he used to be called, he said, if you look at human beings, we're all built the same. We all have one brain, generally speaking, two arms and two legs. Our nervous system is also built the same way. What's not different, or what is different, and what's not the same is how we're raised to believe on how to react to certain situations. It's one of the reasons why you could have one person who goes through a traumatizing situation, and you have another person go through the exact same traumatizing situation, yet one leads their life towards a better direction, something that they feel confident, happy, fulfilled about, and someone else can usually lead their life down the wrong path, which brings them pain, heartache, headache, shame, guilt, all the things that we don't want to experience in our life. And that's why we're here today, because we want to share those insights with you. And today, I have to, for the first time, figure out how to invite Miss Helen Fong in here, because as you guys know, usually we're together, like on these calls. But today we're both operating out of our home offices. So here I'm as I'm speaking to you, I'm trying to look through the how to add someone. Let's see here. Yeah, usually we're working in the same place. Like we have a working office that we work out of. But today we had some stuff come up. So she's working out of her home. I'm working out of mine. Okay, Helen, if you are there, cross Portman, notify messenger, create a clip, publish poll, schedule. Interesting. I don't see the part where it says that I can invite someone. Preview link, insight settings, interactivity, distribution, monetization, settings, stream viewer, live tab. Okay, you know what? I might have to run this first portion on my own because I'm not sure how I'm supposed to add somebody here to the live part. ChatGPT said that there should be a tab that says invite someone else, and I am not seeing that invite button here. So, okay. So Helen, if you're watching, I'm going to suggest that you just hang tight. Let me get through my section first, and then you can turn on your live, and then you can go and do your part in the live stream. Okay. So really quick, folks, let's get back on track here. What is today's subject that is going to help you with controlling your anger? It's a common problem that we all have from time to time. No one's perfect. Everyone falls victim to the feeling of getting angry, right? But nobody ever feels proud about it. I'm sure you feel the same. When it's all said and done, sometimes it feels justified to get mad. And oftentimes, in other situations, we tend to regret the level of anger or aggression that we brought to the table during that given situation. Whether it's with, talking to our kids, our spouse, our best friends, loved ones, or if we're at work and a client gets on our nerves, or our boss says something that triggers us. We all have had those situations. And just like you, I'm sure you've had times in your life where you might have regretted getting that angry. I know I have on so many occasions. So I'm not pointing fingers here. I'm part of that equation too. And there's also been other times where, the ability to maintain control, self-control, emotional control has been smooth, has been quick, has been almost effortless. And I've always wondered to myself, why is it that sometimes people can get super angry just so quickly and easily? And other times you look at some other individuals and consistently, 80, 90% of the time, they're able to maintain a certain level of self-control where they'll eventually blow up. Sure, getting mad is part of life, but they don't use it as the initial response. They'll get angry after a few minutes, half an hour, 2 hours, 6 hours before someone pushes their buttons too much. And finally, they lose it and just flip out. Anger is not the main go-to response for them. So I've always wondered, why? And how can we get that for ourselves? That's always been the bigger question for me. Well, there's so many directions that we can go with that answer, okay, with that question. And there's never just one answer, okay? Treat this like a shopping a la carte method. As we bring these subjects to you, pick one that works well for you and give it a shot. The one that we're talking about today, or that I'm sharing with you today, comes from a book, and I took notes over here, so I'm not just blabbing to you. I want to make sure I give you as much detail as possible, hence why you'll see my eyes shift over. The book is called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol S. Dweck. And basically, what Carol explains in the book is that there's two kinds of thinkers in life. And you can relate this to getting angry or controlling anger. You can relate this to becoming successful in life, whatever you deem to be successful, versus those who feel like failures. You can even connect this to people that live happy versus people who are consistently disappointed with their life. And what Carol basically describes is that you got two main mindsets. You've got the fixed mindset, you have the growth mindset. Let me explain. The fixed mindset, let me refer to my notes here, are people with a fixed mindset believe that their abilities, intelligence, and talents are static traits that cannot be significantly developed. They often see efforts as fruitless or worse, a sign of inadequacy. When focused with challenges, they are more likely to give up easily, avoid risks, and view failures as a reflection of their inherent limitations. This mindset can lead to a desire to appear smart and capable at all costs, often resulting in the reluctance to try new things and learn from mistakes. So real quick, that was me from 20 to 25 years old. Everything I tried, I pretty much failed at. And instead of admitting to myself that there are failures, I just acted like it was everybody else's fault. I was that guy, which in my 20s would make me really angry because I always felt like I did not have control. Now, the growth mindset. The growth mindset is something that is when people use the growth mindset, they believe that the abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, and learning. They see effort as a pathway to mastery and are more resilient in the face of challenges. Failures are viewed not as setbacks, but as opportunities for growth and for learning. This mindset encourages a love for learning, a willingness to take risks, and a resilience that leads to a greater achievement and fulfillment over time. Growth mindset. Again, not pointing fingers. I was one of those guys. Just need a quick sip of water here. After 25 years old, after learning NLP, the first thing I learned about myself, which I hope relates to you, is that I had carried over many beliefs that my parents had. And not knocking my parents, I love them to death. My dad has passed away, as I previously mentioned. My mom is still alive. And I believe at this stage in life that they did the very best for me that they could. But like all of us, we all have things that we're good at, and we all carry things within us that we wish were better. And during those times, I believe that I had inherited the belief sets from my parents. And so one thing my parents always talked about was the ability to go out there and grow. What I didn't see, or what I saw more of at home, was more regularity, the unwillingness to take risks, and less pushed. Trying new things and not having them succeed were always deemed as failures. And instead of focusing on the mastery of things, becoming a master at something, failing, getting better, failing a little, getting better, failing a little bit, getting better, until we get to the point of mastery. Something my dad always used to say to me was, boy, try something for 6 months. If you try it for 6 months and it works, good for you. If it doesn't work, move on to something else. And you know what? For years, I actually believed in that. I'm talking about that because it was the opposite of growth mindset. What I had to do is I had to learn to break that. And instead of looking for new opportunities, whether it's for business, relationships, friendships, exercise, anything, like literally anything, even here, just talking to you, instead of looking at anything I did as a failure, like I sucked at talking, or I was not able to communicate what I meant to say, or, you know, my body feels and looks a little too fat today, like whatever it is I was saying, I had to learn to take those moments of challenge and realize, wait a minute, that's just where I'm at now. And that's just a perspective. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm actually better than I am and I'm just not giving myself credit? Or the opposite of that. What if there's just something I need to tweak, or one little piece of skill that I need to improve on or learn? Because maybe I don't know, you know, like I used to suck at closing a video call like this. Like I would just close and just be like, okay, that's it for today. Bye. Because I didn't know what to say. That used to be me. Whereas now I've learned to acknowledge the crowd, acknowledge you, acknowledge myself and Helen when she's here to help me host the show, and just recognize that we're taking a minute to just properly keep that connection as we close our talk. Like that was, as simple as that sounds, that's a skill that I had to learn. So the growth mindset really just teaches us that failures are never failures if we choose not to look at them that way. But instead of looking at it as failures, we look at them as stepping stones to mastery, to achievement. So I'm going on about this in regards to the book. Like you might be asking, okay, Alan, I get it. How does that relate to anger? You know, like I've dealt with a couple of clients this week that were like, you know, Alan, I've got anger issues, man. Like I just get angry. You know, sometimes my mom will look at me in a certain way and I'm just mad. She doesn't even say anything, man. Alan, she doesn't even say anything. She just gives me this look and I'm just mad. And I've tried this, I tried that, tried this kind of thing. You know, I read that if I eat these kind of foods, it'll make me feel better. Didn't work. Tried to exercise, didn't work. What the hell do I do? Well, I'm sharing with you what I shared with my clients just a few days ago. This book perfectly relates to controlling our anger, because if someone has a hard time adopting new ideas, trying new things, accepting that they're going to suck at first, because that's called learning. It's part of the learning curve. Nobody's ever a natural at anything, or rarely. Most people have to fall on their face a few times or a bunch of times before they get it right. That's just life. But if a person is not willing to accept those moments of not doing so great, that just means that they're in a fixed mindset. And it's cool because if we can realize that we have two different ways of using this amazing tool that we call our brain, then oftentimes that can give us a little more clarity to understand that, hey, I'm not really stuck in this. This is not the way my life has to be for the rest of my life. I just have to realize that I'm using my brain this way. But the book says that's called a fixed mindset. That means I can adopt a growth mindset. So growth mindset means I just have to develop those characteristics. Like I got to allow myself to think that way and stumble along the way. See, that's key. That's key. We have to allow ourselves the ability to stumble, to fumble, to fall. And as painful as that sounds sometimes, and I'm saying that because I remember the look on my client's face when I said that to him. You know, he was not happy. And I remember the look on my face because I had a mirror next to me at the time when I was studying this stuff. And I remember thinking, God, you know, falling sucks. Like, embarrassing myself sucks. But you know what sucks more? Looking back on the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of our life and saying to ourselves, crap, I could have done better. You know, I think the feeling of regret is probably one of the biggest pains of our lives. Now, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit, but this does relate to controlling our anger, okay? My sidetrack spliff is this. During my dad's time passing, and I bring up my dad a lot because I learned so much from that man, from that amazing man. Even the things that weren't said, I just learned so much from how he operated his life. And one of the things I learned from my dad, and this is my interpretation for whatever it's worth, I grew up seeing that man act bold, powerful, confident, sometimes overly confident. Yet, during the times, the last couple of months, down to the last couple of weeks before he passed away, what I saw from that man was a ton, like emotional tons of sobbing, of sadness, which I equated to regret. Regret because when I look at my dad, like I'll never forget it. There was this one time when we were at the hospice. And if you're not familiar, the hospice is usually one of the last places you go before it's your time to pass. Like that's pretty much the end of the line for a lot of people. When he was at the hospice and I was there, I remember this moment where I was packing my things and I was getting ready to go because I'd gone to visit him for a bit. And I'll never forget it. Like he had made this sound with his voice. He looked down on the ground and he just took a deep breath and he just like sighed. It was just this deep sigh of what I interpreted as a form of regret. And it was regret, you know, for whatever. There's a ton of things I'm sure he regretted, as we all would. But the lesson that I'm trying to share from this moment is that guilt and regret are things that we can control. We don't have to live with that. We don't have to live with those feelings throughout the course of our life. But if we don't learn that this thing that we're dealing with here called anger, especially in this group, which is why we're all here, that's why we come together. If we don't learn that this thing called anger can be controlled, but the only people that can control it is us, like us as like ourselves. And there's only 3 ways to make that shift, either biologically, your biology, like your biochemistry, your psychology, or your physiology. There's only 3 ways or 3 methods to make the shift. if we don't learn how to make that shift so we get better control over our emotions, that becomes our future. And I'm not even just saying that about my dad. Like there's countless people out there. Like you go on YouTube, you listen to Gary Vee, you listen to Tony Robbins, you listen to anybody who talks about spending time with the old, the people that are on the verge of passing away. If you just Google it, there's like a list of 10 things that so many people wish they did before they died. And if you read that list, it all boils down to one similar commonality. No matter what the nationality, no matter what the age, no matter what the background, no matter whatever, they all boil down to some level of regret that they wish they showed up better. And so I'm sharing this with you today because I'm hoping that this lights a little candle or a little fire inside of you. If you've been in this place where you've been stuck for a little while and thinking to yourself, like, I got to do something about this. What can I do? How can I sound? Like I read the comments here, guys. I respectfully, I'm thankful that you guys take the time to share your lives here. Like I'm reading all sorts of stuff. Like one person said, I lost my job here because I can't control my anger. This other one said, I can't control my anger with my kids. I lose it with them every time they do something. Or somebody else said, I'm losing my marriage because I can't control my anger. Can't talk to my wife. Every time she says something, I flip out on her. Like the list goes on. I really don't believe that we have to be people that have to live with those circumstances. I really believe that it takes skill, time, and the willingness to practice those skills through attained knowledge that really helps us elevate our life, not because somebody's coming into our life and transforming it for us. Maybe somebody's coming into our life to shed a little light on our thinking, to help us realize we don't have to be stuck. But in order to get unstuck, we have to be willing to shift the way we use this thing called our brain. And one of the first things that I've learned time and time again, time and tested to be true, is that without shifting from the fixed mindset to the growth mindset, the ability to learn becomes incredibly, incredibly hard. Now, can a person not learn if they're in a fixed mindset? No. I'm not saying that. You can definitely learn, but it's like imagine trying to go to school, but you have no books and you don't show up for class. Well, how are you going to learn? Or imagine going to university and you're listening to the teacher, but you're trying to commit everything to memory and you get no practice. I don't know. Or imagine going to the hospital and you're talking to a doctor. Thankfully, this never happens, not here in North America, at least. But imagine going to the doctor and the doctor says to you, hey, no problem. I know what your problem is. We'll fix it. And you can trust me. I'm fantastic at this. I have read over 700 books, 800 books, 1,000 books on health, wellness, and medications and surgeries. I have read so much that I know what to do for you and you'll be fine. But I have zero experience. Well, I don't know how you would feel about that. I don't know how I would feel about that. I'd be like, I need a new doctor. And I think you probably feel the same. So that is an example of someone who has a fixed mindset. If they're not willing to learn and apply, that's the two key factors here. A growth mindset allows us to learn faster and apply quicker to elevate our results more. Because the one thing that's a limiting factor in comparison to a fixed mindset is that fixed mindsets, they spend so much time dwelling on how they screwed up, how they made it wrong, how they're inadequate, how they're not good enough. Like they focus on that so much that before they know it, a year's gone by and 60 to 70% of their time has been spent dwelling on how poorly they performed, while 30% is actually applied to doing the thing and getting better at it, studying and doing the thing. Now, that's a gross generalization, of course. But again, I'm talking from experience, both me personally, working with clients and students, and working with other people throughout my life. So if you want to know more about this book, if you got the time to go and read this book, if you actually like reading, please go and get it. Okay. One more time. Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol S. Dweck. Dweck spelled Dweck. If you don't have the time and you just want the book summary, go to ChatGPT and just type in, can you explain to me the book called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol S. Dweck, and include all the important points of each chapter and include an action plan that I can use to apply this information into my daily activities or my daily life. Remember, you want to say include action when you're using ChatGPT, or else it's just knowledge. You want to know how to use it, right? That is super key, super important. So that's about it for today. For me, Helen is going to come out and she's going to turn on her live here in a couple of moments. And before I close off so Helen can take over, I just want to remind you that the last reason why we're here is that once a week, Helen and I have also opened up this live event, this live call event, for anyone who wants to make a shift. Like if you are someone who is stuck in your feelings of anger, that no longer wants to have anger control you, where you instead want to have control over it, where when the trigger situation comes up, you're not sitting there trying to control the anger, but instead it just is off, dialed down. Just something in your mind just clicks. And all of a sudden you go from this place of like super aggro to just, oh, okay, you know what? I'm calm, but I'm not exactly sure why this happened. If you are that kind of person who wants to gain control, Helen and I, are willing to do a live event here where in real life, like for everybody to see and watch, we'll help you transform in less than 50 minutes, 50, even if you've had decades of anger stacked on you, where you just feel like, oh my God, I'm stuck. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to shift. We have made countless, and I mean countless, I'm not even sure how many people we've helped now, countless changes with individuals, with men and women who thought they were stuck, who didn't know how they were going to make the shift. And in 1 hour or less, we were able to take 30, 40, 50 years of pain and neutralize those emotions so they still have the memory of the event, but they're no longer emotionally attached to those things that hurt them, that made them sad or made them angry. That service is usually $350 to upwards of $1,000 for one event switch. Now, I'm saying that so you understand its value, but here on this call, if you choose to, we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you completely free, no strings attached. The only thing is that you have to be willing to step forward and do this live event with us here in the group. Okay? So if that's you, go ahead and send me a private message or just DM me. Send me a comment in the comment section below, and we'll put you on the list for the people who are requesting for this free service. Again, valued at $350 to upwards of $1,000. Okay? I hope that helps. Have yourself a great weekend, a great day, whenever you're watching. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to watch this, and I really hope that everything that I shared with you today was helpful to help you live your best life, a better life, a less angry life, and one that you can feel happy about. Helen is going to take over. So I'm going to shut this off so Helen can jump on her live video as well. Thanks again for listening in. Appreciate you. Have yourself a great day. We'll talk to you soon.